The world is overrun. Cities have fallen, continents are lost, and the undead rule the ruins of civilization. Yet scattered across vast oceans, there remain places untouched. Islands that could hold the key to human survival. These aren't fantasy hideouts or Hollywood settings. They're real, remote, and in many ways already prepared for the worst. Today, we begin the countdown of the top 10 islands that could survive a zombie apocalypse. Let's start at number 10. Number 10, the Faroe Islands. Located in the cold North Atlantic, halfway between Norway and Iceland, the Faroe Islands are a rugged chain of volcanic rock surrounded by endless ocean and brutal weather. They're home to fewer than 60,000 people, and they already operate with a strong sense of community self-reliance. Wind power and hydropower provide much of their electricity, and the islanders rely heavily on fishing and local farming, key factors in surviving long-term isolation. What makes the Faroe Islands ideal in a zombie apocalypse isn't just their location, it's the geography. Sheer cliffs surround most of the coastlines, making landfall almost impossible without specific docking points. Even if an outbreak reached mainland Europe, it would take weeks or months for any infected to cross the icy seas, if they could survive the cold at all. The islanders could fortify their small harbors, control access points, and sustain themselves off the sea. Their isolation would become their greatest shield. Number 9, the Galapagos Islands, Ecuador. 1,000 kilometers off the coast of South America, the Galapagos are famous for Darwin's discoveries and their unique wildlife. But in a zombie apocalypse, their remoteness and limited human population become their biggest advantages. The islands already maintain strict biosecurity to prevent disease from spreading to their fragile ecosystem, which means they have infrastructure designed to keep contagions out. In an apocalyptic world, that same system could be used to protect human survivors. The islands have multiple small communities across different islands, allowing for decentralization. If one settlement were compromised, others could isolate instantly. There's also the abundance of marine life, tropical fruit, and freshwater sources from rainfall. Solar power and desalination plants could make the Galapagos largely self-sufficient. The challenge would be defending against desperate survivors coming by boat, but natural isolation and strong patrols could handle that. Number 8, the Isle of Eigg, Scotland. Tiny, beautiful, and surprisingly self-sustaining, the Isle of Eigg is part of the Inner Hebrides off the west coast of Scotland. It has fewer than 100 residents, and it's already known for being one of the first communities in the world to run almost entirely on renewable energy: solar, wind, and hydro. In a zombie apocalypse, that's a massive advantage. No need to rely on external fuel shipments or power grids. The locals could live off their livestock, fish from the surrounding waters, and grow crops in small farms. The weather is harsh, but the isolation from the Scottish mainland would make it nearly impossible for any infected to reach them. With one ferry point to defend and rocky cliffs surrounding much of the island, it would be easy to secure. Even more, the tight-knit community structure of Eigg, where everyone knows everyone, means it would be easier to detect and manage infection risks. The Isle of Eigg might not be tropical paradise, but it's a fortress in spirit. Number 7, Svalbard, Norway. Now we move north, far north, to one of the most remote settlements on the planet. Svalbard, located deep in the Arctic Circle, is a frozen wilderness that already functions on the edge of survival. It's home to polar bears, endless ice, and fewer than 3,000 residents. But what makes it remarkable is that it's already designed to outlast global disasters. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault is one of humanity's last lines of defense against extinction. A massive underground facility storing millions of plant seeds in case of catastrophe. That's right, Svalbard already prepares for the end of the world. In a zombie apocalypse, its extreme cold would act as a natural deterrent. The undead would freeze solid before ever reaching the settlements. Humans could survive with existing infrastructure, research stations, renewable energy systems, and fishing access in the icy waters. Food could be grown indoors with hydroponics powered by local energy. The biggest challenge here wouldn't be zombies. It would be the cold and the isolation. But that's a trade any survivor would gladly make. Number 6, Easter Island, Chile. One of the most isolated inhabited islands on Earth, Easter Island sits over 2,000 miles from the nearest continental landmass. Known for its mysterious moai statues, it's also a strategic dream for post-apocalyptic survival. The island has a small population, arable land for crops, and an ecosystem that could support small communities long-term. Its distance from South America makes it virtually unreachable by accident, meaning any zombie or infected threat would be practically non-existent unless brought there directly. Survival here would depend on water management and maintaining sustainable food supplies, but Rapa Nui's moderate climate and fishing potential make it feasible. The island's hills could serve as lookout and defense points, and the single small airport could be sealed off permanently. It's remote, quiet, and self-contained. In other words, paradise during the apocalypse. When the world collapses, isolation becomes safety, and self-sufficiency becomes strength. From the stormy cliffs of the Faroe Islands to the tropical isolation of Easter Island, humanity's best chance of survival might not be in underground bunkers or fortified cities, but out there, across the oceans, on islands most people never think about. The next 5 islands are even more remote, more defensible, and in some cases nearly impossible to reach without planning, the kind of places where civilization could start again. Number 5, the Azores, Portugal. Hidden deep in the North Atlantic, nearly 1,000 miles west of mainland Europe, the Azores are a group of 9 volcanic islands belonging to Portugal. They're isolated, fertile, and strategically perfect for survival in a zombie-infested world. The Azores already operate as semi-autonomous communities with strong local agriculture, fishing, and renewable energy projects. The volcanic soil is rich, capable of supporting crops like potatoes, corn, and fruit, and the surrounding waters are full of fish and marine life. That combination of resources means the islands could sustain themselves indefinitely if the rest of the world collapsed. The geography helps too. Rugged cliffs, limited ports, and steep mountain terrain make the Azores naturally defensible. A few key points of entry could be easily fortified, while the interior provides countless hiding spots and farmland. The islands also have geothermal energy sources, meaning power could be generated even without fossil fuels. In a zombie apocalypse, few places could match that level of energy independence and sustainability. Their only challenge would be population density. The Azores have around 250,000 people. But if organized, their naval and agricultural capabilities could make them not just a survival zone, but a thriving human stronghold. Number 4, Tristan da Cunha, South Atlantic Ocean. If isolation is your top priority, Tristan da Cunha is your dream, or your last resort. It's the most remote inhabited island on Earth, over 1,500 miles from the nearest mainland. No airport, no constant traffic, just a single small village with fewer than 300 people. You can only reach it by boat, and that takes nearly a week of sailing from South Africa. In a zombie apocalypse, that's pure gold. The odds of any infection reaching Tristan da Cunha are almost zero. It's surrounded by freezing, storm-heavy waters and guarded by cliffs that rise straight from the ocean. Even if the rest of humanity burns, the island could go on quietly, untouched, and unnoticed. The local population is already skilled in farming, fishing, and self-sufficiency, relying on potato crops, livestock, and barter economy. While outside supplies would eventually vanish, the island's small size makes it easier to manage resources. The residents already live with limited imports, so adaptation wouldn't be as extreme as elsewhere. The main drawback would be medical access and communication. If someone got sick or injured, help would be impossible. But when it comes to surviving zombies, Tristan da Cunha isn't just a good option. It's almost foolproof. You just have to get there before the world ends. Number 3, Iceland. Now we head north again, to a land forged by fire and ice. Iceland is one of the few nations that could realistically survive total global collapse. Its population of around 380,000 lives on an island powered almost entirely by renewable energy, geothermal and hydroelectric. Even if the entire power grid of the planet went dark, Iceland's lights would stay on. Food is abundant from both sea and land. The fishing industry is massive, and greenhouses heated by volcanic energy allow locals to grow crops year-round, even in winter. Add to that clean water from glacial rivers and hot springs, and you've got a nearly perfect setup for survival. In a zombie apocalypse, Iceland's isolation is its greatest weapon. There are limited ports, minimal air traffic, and harsh ocean currents, making it extremely hard for infected or desperate survivors to reach the island. The cold climate also means that any undead that did wash ashore wouldn't last long before freezing solid. The Icelandic people have a strong sense of community and order, traits that would be crucial in rebuilding civilization. With a functioning power grid, agriculture, and communication systems already in place, Iceland could become the new hub of humanity's rebirth. Number 2, New Zealand. When scientists discuss which countries could survive a total global collapse, whether nuclear war, climate disaster, or pandemic, New Zealand is almost always at the top of the list. Its location in the South Pacific puts it thousands of miles from any major continent, and its infrastructure, agriculture, and self-sufficiency make it incredibly resilient. The country produces far more food than it consumes, from livestock to crops, and it's powered largely by renewable sources like hydropower and geothermal energy. It's modern, stable, and has one of the lowest population densities of any developed nation, meaning space, resources, and safety are all within reach. Strategically, New Zealand is a dream to defend. The North and South Islands can be easily fortified at key ports, and inland areas, surrounded by mountains and rivers, provide natural strongholds. The military is small but well-trained, and the population's strong agricultural background would make adapting to a survivalist lifestyle much easier than in most countries. Even better, the climate is mild, meaning crops could grow year-round, and there's plenty of rainfall. In a zombie apocalypse, New Zealand could not only survive, it could rebuild civilization from scratch. Number 1, the Falkland Islands. Tucked away in the South Atlantic, the Falklands are one of the most isolated and secure island groups on the planet. With a population of around 3,500, these windswept islands are defended naturally by freezing waters and treacherous seas. During a zombie apocalypse, that isolation would make them nearly unreachable, a fortress protected by nature itself. The Falklands already have a strong British military presence and a self-sustaining local economy based on fishing, farming, and sheep herding. The islands are rich in natural resources, have clean water, and plenty of space for cultivation. Their small population means infection risks could be tightly controlled, and the cold climate would prevent decay from spreading easily. Zombies would freeze or slow drastically, losing their threat. With a few fortified settlements, renewable energy systems, and a functioning port, the Falklands could thrive long after the rest of the world has fallen silent. Imagine a small community rebuilding civilization under the southern stars, safe from the chaos of the continents. In the end, the islands on this list share 3 crucial traits: remoteness, self-sufficiency, and defensibility. They are places where the ocean becomes a wall instead of a trap, where nature protects instead of threatens. The zombie apocalypse might wipe out most of humanity, but somewhere out there, on a frozen shore or a volcanic ridge in the middle of the sea, life would go on. And maybe, just maybe, that's where a new chapter of human history would begin.